There will come a moment in your life when everything you thought was certain suddenly breaks. You lose the job you gave your heart to, someone you trusted disappears, a dream you built dissolves, a relationship you believed would last forever ends in silence, and you're left holding the pieces, alone, confused, heavy with questions. It's in these moments when life breaks you that your soul begins its real journey. I know, because I've walked that path. Before I became a monk, I lived like most people do. Busy days, restless nights, chasing love, chasing meaning, wearing a smile while quietly breaking inside. There was someone I loved deeply. We had dreams, laughter, promises whispered in the dark. I thought that love would last forever. But slowly the warmth faded, the conversation shortened, and one day they were gone. No goodbye, no closure, just silence. I stood in the kitchen that morning, staring at their coffee cup, the one they used every morning, still sitting on the shelf, still holding their absence. And I asked myself, how can someone who felt like home become a stranger overnight? That was my first real lesson in loss, and I didn't know how to heal. I distracted myself. I pretended to be okay. I scrolled through memories. I smiled at friends and cried behind doors. But healing doesn't come from pretending. Healing begins when we stop running from our pain and sit beside it. When I entered the monastery, I believed I'd left my pain behind. But pain finds you, even in silence. During one morning meditation, I broke down. Tears, shame, grief I didn't know was still inside me. I was embarrassed. But my teacher, he gently placed a hand on my shoulder and said, "The heart leaks before it softens." Beep! That was the first moment I understood. Crying is not weakness. Crying is truth leaving the body. Crying is the beginning of healing. So many of us are walking around, broken, but hiding it well. We laugh in photos. We show up to work. We say, "I'm fine." But our soul is whispering, "I'm tired." Let me tell you something you may need to hear. You don't have to be strong all the time. You're allowed to feel what hurts. You're allowed to fall apart. There is strength in softness. There is wisdom in breaking. Healing is not a destination. It's not a finish line. It's not a checklist. It's a process. Messy, unpredictable, personal. Some days you'll laugh again. Others you'll cry at something small, are part of your healing. There's a story I remember from the monastery garden. After a brutal storm, one of our oldest trees was struck by lightning. The trunk split, the bark burned. We thought it wouldn't survive, but the elder monk said, "Leave it, watch it." Months passed, and then from the broken side, new leaves began to sprout. The tree didn't bloom from its strongest parts. It bloomed from where it had been broken. That tree became my teacher. Sometimes the most beautiful parts of us grow from our deepest pain. Maybe you're going through something right now. Maybe you've lost someone. Maybe a friendship ended without explanation. Maybe the job you loved disappeared. Or maybe you just feel numb, drifting through your days. I want you to hear this. You are not broken. You are becoming. Pain is a sacred teacher. When someone betrays you, it teaches you boundaries. When you fail, it teaches you humility. When life changes suddenly, it teaches you surrender. We don't have to love pain, but we can choose to learn from it. There's another lesson I want to share. It's one of the hardest. You must forgive yourself. We are so quick to blame ourselves. I should have seen the signs. I should have walked away. I should have known better. But remember, you were doing the best you could with the knowledge, the heart, and the hope you had. That's not weakness. That's human. In Japan, there's a beautiful art called kintsugi, where broken pottery is repaired with gold. They don't hide the cracks, they honor them, because those cracks tell a story of survival. You too are worthy of gold, not despite your wounds, but because of them. There's something else. You don't have to rush. We live in a world that celebrates speed, but the heart heals in seasons. Some wounds take months, some take years, and that's okay. Healing isn't linear. It's not always forward. Sometimes we go back to go deeper. One breath at a time, one small step at a time. That's all you need. Today, maybe all you can do is breathe. Maybe all you can do is take a walk. Write a letter you'll never send. Cry without shame. Hold your own hand. That is enough. There's a boy who came to our monastery 3 years ago. He had lost his entire family in an accident. He spoke little, ate less, smiled never. For months, he only came to morning meditation and sat in silence. Then one day, he picked a flower from the garden and placed it by the altar. He didn't say a word, but in that moment I knew he had begun to live again. Healing doesn't always speak. Sometimes it's found in small sacred moments. A smile, a flower, a breath. You don't need to be whole to begin again. You just need to begin. So let me leave you with this. If life has broken you, if you feel like you've lost your way, if your heart aches quietly at night, know this. You are not alone. You are not a failure. And this is not the end. You are in a chapter of becoming. You will rise, not as who you were, but as someone softer, wiser, stronger. Like the tree that blooms from its broken limb, you too will flower from the pain you thought would destroy you. Not today, not all at once, but gently, honestly, beautifully. So take a breath. Place your hand on your heart and say to yourself, I'm healing, I'm learning, I'm still here. And that is enough. Let this be your beginning, not back to who you were, but forward to who you were always meant to become. If this message touched your heart, share it with someone who needs to hear it. Subscribe for weekly reflections from the monk's path to healing. And in the comments, tell me, what are you healing from? I'll be there, reading, listening.